All right, guys, so you can see here we got the screen rotating bracket that was sent to me by cybergear.com. And we're just gonna do a little unboxing and installation into the Cybertruck. Just a quick little update too. The fridge has been performing quite flawlessly. The weather's getting warmer now. It's almost the middle of July, and it's been kind of a nice thing to have when you're out there in the heat. Out here in SoCal, it's still, it gets relatively warm, especially sometimes if you have the windows up, it gets quite warm in the car. But, it's nice to go outside, do activities, get in, and just have some nice cold drinks in there. For the most part, we practically have just water, but, you can use it for all kinds of stuff. But it's really nice and chilled. Gets down to the 30s real quick. So it's something that I'm glad we added. And by the way, I also think that now that we've had it in here for quite some time, it's really a nice design because it doesn't have that big empty gap anymore. And having that there now just feels very natural. It's a nice design continuation of the center console. I will say though, as you can see, it doesn't really like to stay up, and it kind of slams itself down a bit, which a couple guys in the forum suggested a couple options to use to kind of hold the door up. One of which is somebody suggested maybe using like magnet tabs on top of the lid, and one maybe towards the bottom of this panel here, and so that when you open it, the magnet kind of holds the lid up. Or another solution could be Velcro. So I'll probably use one of those. I think that's going to be the way to go. So anyway, let's go ahead and see if we can get that screen bracket installed and kind of see how that functions. All right, so we got one piece here, one piece here, one piece here, total of 3 pieces. Instruction doesn't seem too complicated. It's about a page and a half worth of instructions. So yeah, let's get started and see how it goes. All right, so the first step here is at the bottom of the screen. With the provided tool, you just kind of pry that open. All right, so I'm gonna go and do that. All right, exposes that. Okay, so once you have that panel removed, you're gonna have to disconnect this module here from this panel. There's 2 screws, one on this side, one on that side. There's a tool provided for you within the kit. So we're just gonna use that and remove that piece. Okay, so unscrewed the 2 bolts that were holding the screen in place. Now the panel is free. We're gonna have to detach that connector right there, so we'll do that next. Okay, so now that the screen's detached, next step is taking this bracket off. Okay, next step is we got this extension cable, which we're going to extend to this piece right there. Okay, so you can see we got the extension cable now attached to the original cable. Now we're going to mount this cover to the temperature sensor. Okay, so now the covered plate is on the temperature sensor. The extension cable is attached. Now we're going to mount this new bracket. Looks like it would go right in here like this, and we just screw that down. All right, so we got the bracket screwed in. Cables are there, and next thing we need to do is install this new cover plate on. Okay, so the new cover plate's been installed. Bolts are underneath, as you can see right there. One on the other side. Now we just gotta attach temperature sensor into the slot right here. Okay, so you can see we have the temperature sensor and the cover snapped into place underneath the bottom cover of the screen mount. Okay, next step seems pretty simple. We just have to attach this cover to the back of the screen. All right, guys, so we kind of skipped ahead a little bit. I didn't film the last step because it was a little more involving, harder for me to kind of hold the phone and try to do. But anyway, what it was there's 2 screws that you got to screw from underneath to attach the screen to the actual bracket that allows the screen to swivel. And that took a while because you're trying to screw from underneath into the thread, which is kind of hard to do because you're kind of using your hands to feel around. Ultimately, something that this would probably take some people 15-20 minutes took me about an hour. I don't know if I did anything incorrectly other than the fact that the last step was the hardest. I actually had to ultimately get down and lay kind of flat in the passenger footwell area as well as the driver's side, because there's 2 screws, one on either side, and I had to look up and just finagle to finally get those screws to thread in. As far as a do-it-yourself difficulty scale out of 10, I would say it's about a 4. For whatever reason, the last step was the one that I had the toughest time with. But anyway, so product is installed. It is what it is, as advertised, a screen swivel bracket. You can obviously tilt it this way towards the passenger side. You can maybe see, I don't know how you can see the angle, but it's really tilted. And obviously it's tilted to the point where if I'm sitting straight on the driver's side here, to access something, yeah, you could, but it's very strange at that angle. So clearly you would fold it back this way. Okay, so a couple things. The bracket holds the screen very, very tightly in place. It's got a nice feel to it. It's not loose. You can see it takes a little bit of effort to turn the screen here. And that's good, right? Because you don't want something that's loose, and if you're driving over bumps and whatnot, it'll tilt the screen out of the position that you have it at. So I like it. As far as the feel of the product goes, it's very solid. I like it. What's interesting was originally, the screen, I will also say this, the bracket, after you install it, kind of brings the screen down, I don't know, maybe about 5 millimeters or so. You can get a little bit of feeling that it kind of came down just a tad. So far it's not bothering me any, so it's fine. But as far as a functionality of it, because originally this one's not a product I thought, I needed, right? Because, when the screen is flat from the factory, you can access it from both sides equally, and it's rather simple. You don't go through any extra effort to reach over or whatnot to access the screen. Now, immediately as this was installed, as I got into the car and I kind of tilt the screen my way, there's a bit of a comfort in that your eyes, when you're looking forward, I can't quite explain it. I don't know if this is going to capture it on camera, but when your eyes looking forward and it just looks down while the screen is kind of folded towards the driver, it makes things a little bit easier, believe it or not. And even the hand controls feel just that little extra, more in reach. So far, I kind of like the fact that it can be tilted at least towards the driver. And I assume maybe the passenger, if they were to access any kind of entertainment, functions of the car, that they want to tilt it towards them is equally as easy for them to touch the panel. It's one of those things, again, where, if you didn't know you needed, it's nice to know that you have it now. I think I've been in a couple of the model, I think it was the S, that I had on a loaner car once from Tesla, and that car had the swivel function, and I thought it was kind of cool, but I didn't play with it much. For whatever reason, in the Cybertruck, this actual bracket, it does make the screen, at least the function of it, feel more premium, right? So now you can tilt it this way, you can tilt it that way. It's interesting because then it begs the question, should the factory have made it that way? You can tell, Tesla, with their cost saving or eliminating sort of approach to cars, that they would not necessarily would have put something like that in. But I'm glad I did, to be honest. I think it's going to pay dividends. Like I said, I get in the car, I can already kind of see myself going like this, and it's just, it's just, I like the way it's orientated towards the driver. So anyway, that's kind of initial impressions for now. Haven't really gone out there, driven the car yet, and used it yet. This is literally just right after I installed it. It's getting late out here. Weather's not the best, quite foggy anyway. So we'll do another video. But there it is. It's probably not surprising to anybody. I mean, swivel screen, that's what you would expect, right? But here's another thing I would just kind of add to that, which is, now we got two products from Cybergear, the screen swivel bracket and the refrigerator. And what I like to say about that is I feel like the company is doing and adding accessories to the Cybertruck that Tesla probably should have done. Tesla's got the whole Tesla shop section, and there's a few certain items that they have. Obviously, the tent, the cargo divider, things of that nature. But for the everyday sort of family usage of the car, these niceties really do add to the Cybertruck, I think. Like I said, the refrigerators really came in handy a few times. We've done sports events. Now, as I mentioned, it's summertime. For the most part, I mean, today looks a little more overcast, but for the most part, it's getting to the point where the interior of the car reaches high 90s, when it's parked outside. And it's such a luxury to be able to come into the car. The refrigerator is already cold, and you can grab a cold drink out of it. So, I mean, that in itself is already paying its dividends. But anyway, so I'll report back a little more in the future. So far, what I can tell you is I like it. The product looks, feels good. There's a good amount of resistance so that it really holds the screen in place. And so we'll talk to you guys later.